Okay. Begin. So the parsha continues in that in a way that obviously now having Bilam having engaged with Balak and has already given this bracha to the Bnei Israel, has already seen Bnei Israel in a positive light. So now, obviously, Balak's pretty upset. He's not sure what to do, and he actually tells Bilam off. He engages him. He says it's not correct what you did, and Bilam says to him, "Well, there's nothing I could do, because at the end of the day, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells me what I can do, and if he tells me what to do, so then that's the way it is." So, as he says to him, "Vayomer Balak el Bilam, Ma asitali? What have you done? Says, "I to curse them, but in actual fact, what you've done is you've given them a bracha." And he says to him, so whatever Hashem puts into my mouth, those are the things I have to I have to guard to speak. The Sforno says that it's interesting that Bilam uses the name to engage Balak, and he says that Kfar Yadata Shiur Yisrael v'lo yadaber ki im tov al Yisrael. So fascinating interest. You know that this thing, that this God, that this Hashem Yudke Vavke, you know that He's the God of Israel. V'lo yadaber ki im tov al Yisrael, and all He does is speak only good things about the Bnei Israel. And that's interesting because it's clear from Bilam that he doesn't have this Masorah, this understanding of all the difficulties and the travails that Moshe Rabbeinu had with Bnei Israel, and where HaKadosh Baruch Hu has been upset with the Jewish people, but rather that what? V'lo yadaber ki im tov al Yisrael. He only speaks good about the Jewish people, which is quite something. You know, it's like nobody knows about the dirty laundry of the Jewish people as they travel through the desert, to the extent that Bilam doesn't believe that that there is a way of getting into the negative, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu always speaks good about the Jewish people. And on that, Vayomer Elav Balak says, "Okay, let's go somewhere else. Asher tir'enu misham, we'll go to another place. Efes katsehu tir'eh v'chulu lo yisireh." He says, "You know what? Come with me. Let's go to another place. And in that other place where we'll be, what will happen is that you'll see Efes katsehu, just a little bit, a little portion of them. V'chulu lo tir'eh, and you won't see everybody there. So why is that so important? What's the fact is that if you come from a different perspective, maybe coming from a different perspective, there will be a different way of engaging. And that's why the Sforno there once again says, don't look at the whole, because when you look at the whole, excuse me, you're unable to find the weaknesses and the vulnerability of the Jewish people. Says because you know why? Says because we understand that if you look at the whole, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has already promised that there'll never be complete destruction of the Jewish people. Maybe other nations, but not the Jewish people. And if that's the case, it's not going to help you to see everybody. Let's go to see a portion of them, and perhaps in that portion of them you'll find something. And he takes him to the state Sofim or Rosh Pisgah, also on another place on the top of some type of summit. Again, we have the same thing of these 7 mizbachot, these 7 altars that are built, that are built. Again, Rashi points out here, why is he going to the Rosh HaPisgah? Bilam lo haya koisem ke Balak. Says Bilam wasn't this magician like Balak was. Somehow, Balak had a certain level of insight. Remember, Balak, who is the king, he is a certain type of fortune teller. He's a certain type of magician, and because of that, he sees things in a different way. Bilam is a prophet. It's very different. He's there to come and to give blessings and to give curses, whereas Balak is different. So he sees that at this place of the Rosh HaPisgah, the Bnei Israel something's going to happen. Ra'a Balak she'atida pirtza liparetz b'Yisrael misham. Shesham met Moshe. Why? Because in the Rosh HaPisgah is the place where Moshe Rabbeinu is going to die. Because Savu shesham tachul alehem haklala v'zohi hapirtza shanyeri. He thought that is going to be the place which is going to be the source of a curse. And that's what he says. Let's go to this Rosh HaPisgah because there's the place. He thought there was a beautiful space for a curse, because at some future date there's going to be something negative. What is that? The death of Moshe Rabbeinu. But I don't think that is the place of where there's a curse. We understand that the death of Moshe Rabbeinu is a terribly sad space for Am Yisrael. We lost our leader, we lost our teacher. However, the death of Moshe Rabbeinu really depends how we look at it. It's all about this perspective. And that's what really this whole story of Bilam and Balak is about, perspective. The perspective is that, yes, Moshe Rabbeinu has died, but at the same time, the positive aspect of that is that Bnei Israel are now able to go into Eretz Yisrael, because now that the person who is leading them who can't go into Eretz Yisrael has passed on, Yehoshua can now take them into their near future. Vayomer el Balak kityatev ko alotecha v'anochi achareko. He says, okay, you know what? You stand here on your olotecha with your korbanot, and I am going to hopefully will be HaKadosh Baruch Hu will come and meet me here. Vayikar Adonai el Bilam vayasim davar b'fiv. And once again, HaKadosh Baruch Hu manifests him, and he puts a davar b'fiv. He puts a words into his mouth. And Rashi says there, what does it mean? V'yasem davar b'fiv. What does it mean that he put things in? It would have been like he did before to say, go and tell Balak, this is what I said. Ela, he says, when he heard that he wasn't okay to curse, Amar Ma'ani Choser Eitzel Balak L'Tzaro, said, what can I go and go to tell Balak to L'Tzaro, to upset him? When Atan lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu resin v'chaka b'fiv ka'adam ha'pokes v'chema, and so what does he do? So he says, what I'm going to do is that I'm going, therefore Hashem says to him, he put like what he put in is like a hook into his mouth, like a person who pricks an animal with a hook and makes it go wherever he wants. In other words, Bilam doesn't want to go, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts even like reins, like a horse, and he will tell him where to go, despite the fact that he doesn't want to go. And you can see the image that the Torah presents of Balak ready to do what he needs to do. And he's there with his offerings, and he's ready. And Balak now very excitedly says, Ma diber Adonai, what did Hashem say? And he said to him, and he starts saying a mashal, another mashal. It's all about mashalim. It's all this poetic nonsense. And he said, it's all poetic stuff that he gives. And he says to him, he says, V'hinei barech lakachti u'varech lo ashiveni. He says, when I came there to give you a brocha, and I can't reverse the brocha. Lo hibit aven beYaakov. And you know why I can't reverse the bracha? Because when you look, depending on how you look and how you see and what your perspective is, lo hibit aven beYaakov. V'lo ra'am mal beYisrael. Adonai lahavi mo yitrat melech bo. So he said, what I see, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees that there's no avon, there's no negativity in Yaakov. So he says, what does it mean by Yaakov? Because it says, I didn't see negativity in Yaakov. Lo ara'a amal b'Yisrael, lo ibit Hashem b'Yaakov, keshahen ovrim al dvarav, eno medaktek acharem litbonen be'oniyut shelahem va'amalan shahem ovrim al da'ato. It says, when Bnei Yisrael do something wrong, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't look so carefully. He's not so medaktek on the cloud. On the holistic level, and I think that's such an important lesson. It's a perspective issue for all of us. Is that how do we see that which we see, which may be incorrect? We can see it and start nitpicking on all the different things that people may be doing incorrectly, and we do that, and we like to do that in a way because it gives us, when we start going into the detail, it gives us an ability to find fault, and really. What Bilam is saying is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't nitpick to find fault. And we have to be, as Rav Soloveitchik tells us, that we have to imitate HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And one of the imitations of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not to nitpick in all the different things. If Hashem nitpicked with all of us, can you imagine? I think we would all be in a different position. Amal b'Yisrael, Amal is a Loshen Aveira. Says Rashi that why is it an Aveira? Because when Amal means like hard work. When a person does an Aveira, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it really impacts on him. Impacts on the integrity of the system that he's trying to create, and he finds it very difficult. Hashem Elohavi more says Bilam, don't think that when Bnei Yisrael engage in some type of Aveira, that it's going to be a major problem for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Afilu machisim umamrim lefanav eino zaz mitochan. You know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu said right at the beginning? Hashem always looks positively at the Jewish people, even when they make him angry and when they rebel against him. Eino zav mitochan. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't leave from within them. And as we're coming now up to Shiva Sabbat Tammuz and the 3 weeks, and this process, this space of, in a way, Hester Panim, historically, where it's always been a difficult time for the Jewish people in different places, through from the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, through the Crusades, all of those times, there's always been this concept of Hester Panim. Says Bilam, you, Balak, need to understand, even when Bnei Yisrael are at their lowest point of view, Eino Zaz Mitochan, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't leave them. Utruat Melech Bo. And the trua, we translate generally as the sounding of the shofar. The trua Melech Bo, the sound of the king is within them. And Rashi tells us a very beautiful and important concept. And that is when we speak about the word trua, even the blowing of the shofar trua is lashon chiba v'reut. The reason why we use trua, is because the word trua, the sound yom trua, the day of trua, which is Rosh Hashanah, is the day of chiba v'reut. Chiba means connection, and reut means friendship. And really, so that's what is Bilam is saying to Balak, is that it's hard for me to find the space to curse Bnei Yisrael, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is always with them. And he's with them not just simply as their God, as their deity, as the one who's going to be shomer them, but he's also looking after them as warmth, as love, and as friendship. And that really is, and this will conclude, that's what we say in our Shemona Esrei every day. Melech, Ozer, Moshe, Magen. Melech is the king. He's the highest level. It's the most distant that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with us. Ozer, he helps us, that he sends out those messengers to assist. Moshe, he saves us. Magen, and he protects us. And his protection is really that expression of his chiba and re'ut, his friendship and his love and desire to be connected to us. Because when do you need to protect? You need to protect, and you come the closest when you're protecting a person from that which is coming against us. And so therefore says Bilam to Balak, I can't touch them. I can't touch them, because ultimately HaKadosh Baruch Hu, their God, unlike our gods, unlike our deities, is so close to them. The chiba, and even if we know the chiba also means a hug. HaKadosh Baruch Hu hugs us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu holds us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is close to us. And so therefore, he says that this is the God. He freed them from Mitzrayim, and is for them. He's like what? The horns of the wild ox. In other words, he's ready. He's ready to protect them at any point in time. And therefore, there's no way that I can bring in my magic into this incredible people whose God is within them, who loves them, who hugs them, and who wants to maintain that relationship with them in such a profound way. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Please, God will continue tomorrow. And we should just hear Besorot Tovot.